Okay. Somebody had a question about reverse fist. So the way that I was originally taught when I did Bagua is that the teacher was like, well, there's all this body method stuff, like you're going to a gym and you're doing weights or something, supplementary stuff, body method stuff that you do to um, build the body um, to prepare you for fighting and to get you moving in a way and strategizing in a way, organizing the body in a way that prepares you for fighting. Um, so the saying is, fighting is fighting. You just learn to fight. You learn to do it standing, preferably. You know, standing, grappling, and then groundwork. So all this stuff is necessary. It's like not some like mystical, magical thing that people are making it out to be, and that's what real teachers will say. Um, so the second part is somebody had mentioned. Well, usually what they see is like certain specific drills, usually from like Tai Chi, Yang style Tai Chi, from the Yang family. Drills designed to um, get you really, really sensitive to a person's balance and their mental balance, their center of balance and center of mass, and how to manipulate those. Now in Tai Chi, you do it through for the Yang family inner door stuff. You do it through syncing the fluids, syncing the chi, the magic word chi, just letting go of any tension in the body so that the fluids go down rather than and then rebound up. So the rebounding force. And there's all these like inner door mechanics that are biomechanics that only work under gravity. It's not going to work in space. So in space, everything's floating. There's no gravity. It's Yang Tai Chi is probably not going to work very well up there. So people that say mystical, magical, this teacher is trying to advocate mysticism and magic, when what they're actually doing is doing the exact opposite of that and advocating like physics and principles that can be tested and work under gravity. The it's interesting. There's this thing called like fraud patrol. People that are like always looking for frauds, but are themselves like opening themselves up to fraud because they don't understand anything. They don't have the intellectual they don't have the intellectual capacity, or they're not making an intellectual effort to actually understand what's going on because they can't explain anything. That's not how science works. Say something, we have like a constellation, a cosmic event. We don't know exactly how it functions and how it works. We don't understand everything in this universe, but through a systematic method, we can try to figure out to the best of our ability what's going on. And maybe in the old days, they couldn't explain it. They had like Taoist or Buddhist methods to best piece together, how the body functions. But now that we have, science has gotten us a little bit further in terms of like intellectual thinking and scientific reasoning and thinking, we can start to be like, oh well, it's kind of like this concept in science or something. So I would be happy if people like sent me videos of like Tai Chi masters doing crazy cool stuff. I'm not like I'm really open-minded on that, and I can probably explain the physics of it and what they're doing and why somebody that doesn't know how it operates is like getting manipulated by them. I can explain the physical principles, and that's like what my teacher Mark Rasmus advocates, is like a scientific, deductive cause and effect reasoning process to understand things and to reverse engineer processes, basically. So, okay, so, I guess, so one of the things is like the seated exercises in like Yang family Tai Chi, I think I'll eventually go over. Once you can feel the fascia and open the joints and sink the fluids in the body, and learn how the skeleton actually works under gravity, some of this stuff is really easy. It's stuff for kiddies. It's like some masters like show it on YouTube or something. Some are fake, completely fake, because they don't understand the cause and effect to actually get like the real thing. But even if you have like the real thing, like the Young family, like the sitting exercises, and they like push somebody away, it's still kiddie stuff. I totally agree with people. You need to do it, like do stuff under full resistance, But it's just like a testing method to see like, okay, are the hydraulics working? Is the fascia working? Are the joints opening and closing correctly? Are the body cavities opening and closing correctly? And you should be able to do it when you're sitting versus bracing and resisting gravity and using the incorrect muscles under gravity. So it's also not correct to be like, well, it's just fake, it's just magic, if they don't understand the scientific cause and effect process for the real method. I would also be really critical and be like, okay, well, if you can explain it, what is the cause and effect process for that method? And you should be able to causally link every single chain, every single skill and attribute that builds that effect, like a video game or something, like an RPG. So somebody had a question about like reverse fist, and it's like in any fighting art, fighting is fighting. You have some kind of like overhand right. The way that I was taught it in the single palm change is that it's like a parry. You have single palm change. Boom, but you parry and then you just if you're doing like bear or something like this outward pushing palm, is that you parry the jab with the cross and you just fucking hit them in the face. But you do it with the palm. Same thing. You can do it with a fist. Okay, not magic. Like the body method might be like very intensive. The standing, the santi or the doing it from the side. The 45-degree angles. That you develop through bagua. And the rotations. To create centripetal and centrifugal forces to like use for throwing and stuff that fighting has. It's really ridiculous how stupid people are. But so people are just complicating it way too much. So I would train it like this if you're training it from a boxing stance, instead of like Chinese martial arts to train it with the right hand forward. It doesn't matter. So I would train it like this. Train it like you're doing training against a jab and a cross. So I would go parry, okay? Parry the jab, and then parry the cross. So I would step back for the parry, cross, try to get the feet. Here's what I do, okay? Parry, or you could step back for the parry to draw them in, but you can stay stationary as long as you get the head, with the back foot to avoid getting hit in the face. Parry, step and parry at the same time. So you could do punch under, like in boxing or Tai Chi. It's just a posture. It's just a boxing posture. People are way too complicated. So parry, cross, and then over. Okay, reverse fist. It's very simple. And you can go test it. You can go test it at the boxing gym for sparring. You can test it under pressure. The theory is the same. So test it on a bag just for the power, right? Okay. So you can even push the bag. Okay. Parry. Okay. Come again. Parry. Okay. Push. Okay. That's parry. Okay. Okay. So you just do it as a drill, and it's kind of unorthodox. Usually, the way a boxer, might not expect that overhand with a parry closing the elbow gate. It's a little bit unexpected. So. Okay. So the biomechanics of punching. A lot of the solo drills are connecting the mass from foot to hand. So if you weigh 180 pounds, your bringing the power up the kinetic chain from foot to hand and getting all 180 pounds, whatever your mass is, out to your hands. Now the way that Tai Chi and then Tai Chi trains it, is they first do it through standing and just doing it with the mind, clearing out all the tension so that power conducts through the body, through the joints, through the skeleton, cleanly, and doesn't get stuck anywhere. Working with boxers, people that actually train MMA, you would be surprised like how much power gets stuck in their kinetic chain. Through the back, up the front, it gets stuck everywhere. And it becomes, if you do a real Tai Chi system, a real internal art system, it's easy to also, when you're grappling with them, to block their power, because their power is already stuck. So this talk about Jin Liu roads, stuff is roads of power. It's like their troops try to come out through the highway, and you're just, sending them back, because there's already dams and blockages in the highway. Their power already can't get through their body, can't get through the joints, can't get through, the skeleton, through the muscles. The mind's already blocked. So, if you can find somebody that can actually explain this, the internal stuff to you in like plain speak, you'll actually, get better than a lot of the people that talk about internal arts in terms of magic and mysticism. I was actually really lucky because Adam Meisner, that people will say, it's like, oh, he's a magic mystical person. It's like, well, he was the first, the only one, and then I found his teacher that I think he got a lot of this stuff from, that explained it in scientific cause and effect terms. It's like, oh, Okay, thanks for joining me. This post is on the reversed fist technique. Now, the way that I learned it from my teacher is that you have postures and techniques, but the saying is fighting is fighting. And you have like a body method to build power, to build structure, to organize the body in a certain way. So that you can do grappling, that you can do striking, you can do takedowns, you can do other stuff. Probably have to learn groundwork from another art. That's just how it is. For Chinese martial arts, highly suggest it. Go learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's awesome. It's an amazing art. Love it. So, anyways, if you don't understand the function and the theory behind certain things, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage when doing actual sparring, actual, full contact work. If you don't understand that this is to parry and to cover the elbow gate, or to cover a strike, and this is just to slice over, maybe you have like a I think I posted a video with deer horn knives in the applications. If you have deer horn knives, okay, you parry and then use the back, slice over. Antler knives, sorry. So here, you can do what deer horn knives do, and it's even worse because you got all these sharp ends. Some of this stuff came from the land before time when you would actually fight with weapons. So it's just theory, and obviously theory isn't perfect. It's theory for a reason. But if you don't understand these basic things, if you've never done full contact work or boxing, then you're going to be a huge disadvantage for not understanding how different people think and how different people set things up. So let's keep it simple. Okay, so we got, if our left hand's in front, okay, we got a parry the jab, parry. He's going to step and parry, just like parry and punch under. See, in boxing too, Okay, so parry, and then instead of coming under, reverse fist to the face. Or you do a Muay Thai, that's great. You can use your elbow, or Tiger and Shingi. So here, and then, or what? This is a little bit quicker this way. If you do Bagua or Muay Thai too, parry and then elbow. So it's you have to have some flexibility in thinking, okay? It's just organizing the body in a certain way, So in Tai Chi, they might describe it as horizontal rotation, horizontal core rotation, okay? So here, today this way, and then back using the core, and the core of the body. So I guess this is more for beginners, because beginners might not understand these simple concepts. So here, it's just really simple. Parry, or you can step back and parry on a line, on a diagonal if you wanted to. Parry, parry, reverse fist. It's just the arm is just a weapon, or a spear. You got to think about it like you're actually doing fighting, something. So parry, parry. Okay, want to use an elbow? That's fine. Maybe you want a little bit more reach. Boom. Gonna step back a little bit. You hit them in the face. So now we can do some of the power training aspect. Like why do they do all this standing in Chinese martial arts? Why do they spend so much time trying to connect the mass? Let's say you weigh 180 pounds, and you're trying to connect the power up from the ground, the kinetic force, cleanly without it getting stuck in any of the joints or bones or muscles or anything, the physical body. Why do they spend so much time with this alignments and standing and syncing the fluids and all this stuff, so that you become apparently heavy to your opponent when you're doing grappling, and it allows your mass to cleanly sink through the body of the ground and rebound up through to the hands for striking, for these practical things. So we just have a heavy bag. We can just practice parry, parry, reverse fist, or elbow, whatever you want, Joe, on a bag. Make it simple, and then you can apply it to sparring. And I'll try to have my partner in, and I show that with some jab cross drills. Okay, so here, let's practice parry. Okay, parry. So what does this look like? What? Some kind of shell? Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to do it. So parry, parry. Okay. The bag. So parry, parry. Okay. There's many other things too. Let's do one more. So parry, parry. Okay. And you're just bringing the mass, bringing the force cleanly through the body from foot to hand. That can take some time. You'd be surprised how many people that come into a gym and they can't connect their power through their body. They get stuck somewhere. They can't get the full force that the full force potential out from foot to hand. And it's super important for weapons work if you're going to do weapons work, a spear, something like that. So, boom, boom. Okay. You do it with an elbow. This is just a little bit more reach. Okay. And it's also kind of unorthodox. Some people don't expect it, especially beginners and maybe an intermediate with it. Step to the outside. Okay. Boom, boom. Okay. And this force, also like going down, you can try to do it straight, like spiral straight, but power feels differently. If you've ever been hit by a downward strike going through the body, it feels a little bit differently than just power going in a straight line through the body, long power. And that's just kind of a tip if you're working with people and you're doing striking and stuff. Try putting the power down through the body where it gets stuck. So. Do with an elbow. Okay. Okay. So the bottom one, my first Bagua teacher bruised a rib of mine pretty badly doing this, and you just parry, parry, step through using your elbow. So in any fighting art, you have these combinations, this crossing theory, parrying a jab, crossing, getting to the outside of their cross, getting an angle, 45-degree angle. It's very common in these fighting arts. So none of this stuff is mysterious or magical. Every different art, every different culture has a way, a body method of, trying to get more power, trying to connect the mass in different ways, trying to develop stamina, and critical thinking skills to decode a fighter's language. So somebody really picked hard in the reverse fist one, I wouldn't, I would just really think about it a little bit as a kind of like a, trying to use your mind more as like a multi-tool and be like, okay, like what can I do with the body, instead of trying to become like so boxed in and closed-minded. But so yeah, so really simple: parry, parry, punch, or parry, parry, under. You can do the elbow, or over, the slicing, or you just do it, So Taiji has this thing, the elbow, and they train it so it's basically like on a straight line and then horizontal rotating, because the line is actually a little bit quicker to the body or the face, and that's all it means. It's like why do it this way instead of over like this in Muay Thai? It's because the path is just a little bit quicker. So the second thing people were talking about, I think, was quite common right now online is like repulse monkey. And here's the thing: is that not even like I'm watching like a lot of training, and also like watching a lot of like BJJ videos, and even in those they don't use like their partners are fairly compliant, and they maybe like ramp it up a little bit, but their hands are always like down here, for grappling, but their faces are exposed. Repulse monkey, as I was taught it by Mark Rasmus, is something used for grappling, for clinch work, to rotate the opponent's body, to get their face down out of your space, and you can hit them like you need for actual fighting. That's what Mark advocates, is like just using the principles, and then that's how his students were trained, Adam and other people, and they were just how to use this stuff for fighting. So and also the way that I would use it is that I would the way that Marcus Brinkman sets up reverse fist too is this wand is over, like like you're doing spear or something. Some of this stuff comes from also how weapons work, overturning. So I would actually, if they're usually the jabs and crosses are for the face a little high. If it's for the body, it's a little lower. Here's what I would recommend for repulse. I'd actually use it as a slap or a palm strike, like Pichuan in Shingi. But these kind of high strikes are actually really useful because you don't see them in fighting for some reason, like smacking the crown or something. Maybe in Muay Thai a little, like, but really rare. I don't know why, because it's in sparring it's pretty effective because people don't expect either something coming up from the ground, like an uppercut, like all the way from the ground up. It's hard to see if you've done actual sparring, or something really up high. Monkey, I'd actually, because like the body method is like opening up the rib cage, getting a ring to open up, and then closing, opening and closing the body, openings and closings. Boxing has a way of training openings and closings too. Traditional Western boxing. So it's just a different way of thinking about it. So the way that I would train monkey is I would just train it. I would just probably train it as a palm strike. Okay. So you overturn this one. Okay. You can try it on your sparring partner too. They just might not like you the next day. So. Okay. So here, same concept. You could make it even simpler. You parry, and then